let's start with the power of Tableau and revolutionizing data visualization. So this is an introductory class or an introduction to data visualization and the power of Tableau. So Tableau is a powerful data visualization tool that has revolutionized the way organizations explore and analyze and communicate data. It empowers users to transform complex data sets into interactive visualization, making it easier to understand and derive meaningful insights. So Tableau's user-friendly interface and drag and drop functionality allows users to create stunning visualizations without requiring extensive programming knowledge. So it seamlessly connects to various data sources, including your spreadsheets, your Excels, your database, your cloud services, and whatnot, enabling users to bring their data to life. So let's ask a very important question that, but why is data visualization so important? So, well, in today's data-driven world, the ability to effectively communicate insights from complex data sets is crucial. So by using visual representation, we can unlock patterns, trends, and relationship that might otherwise go unnoticed in rows and columns of numbers. So Tableau takes this concept to the next level by providing a wide range of visualization options, from basic charts and graphs to more advanced interactive dashboards. With just a few clicks, you can create a compelling visuals that allows your audience to explore data and gain actionable insights. So these are the table of contents that we will be looking into today. So the first and the foremost is comparison and benefits against reading raw numbers, right? And then we will look into the real use cases from various business domains and some quick and powerful examples using Tableau without going into the technical details of Tableau. And then we will try to install Tableau desktop and then look into a few more points on how Tableau is used and what Tableau is, how do we get started and those things. Then slowly we move forward towards what Tableau's interfaces are, and then what interfaces are, and then let's slowly move towards how do you connect a data source. As I said, how do we connect a spreadsheet or a database or a cloud service so that you can bring your data to life. And then slowly we move towards what Tableau is, what are the data types Tableau supports, what are the things that you have to make a changes to your data to make them more visualized format, how do you bring your data to life, and how do you make it more presentable when you showcase them. So these are the things that you will be learning in your data types and how many different uh, types of data are present in Tableau, which are supported in Tableau to be more precise. So then at last but not the least, we will be covering what data preparations are. Okay, so uh, what are the objectives that we are going to be covering up here right now is that how do you get an introduced to Tableau? So what Tableau is, how you could move forward with Tableau, what are the real case scenarios that people use it. So all these are somewhat that you will be covering, and then you will learn to install Tableau. And then the next understanding is what are the data types, how do you prepare a certain data to be imported to Tableau, and these kinds of things. And then lastly, you will be seeing what are the real use cases from various business domains. So how do other people use these Tableau visualizations and bring them to life? So now let's start with comparison and benefits against reading raw data. So before starting with that, let's see what are the most popular business intelligence or analytical softwares that people use. So if you see, 23% of the population just use Tableau desktop because it provides much more insights and much more options to just view a normal raw set of data. And very easy, it's just drag and drop system that allows you to make your data more visualized and more readable format. And the second most, you can view it as Click View. So Click is another website that allows you to visualize data. So there's a separate website called as Click. So that's where you start using. So there are many drawbacks to it and also many advantages to it. So each of these softwares has their own pros and cons based on the user's capability and what the user needs. So this is where uh, Tableau plays an important role. So if we check into TIPCO Spotfire, so that 12% of the people uses. SAP is another upcoming Tableau visualization tool that people start using. Burst is one of them, and IBM Cognos, where you start visualization also. Then there is Good Data. Then there is Microsoft's Power BI. Then we have the Tableau server. So Tableau server is basically the online version of Tableau desktop. And then there is IBM Cognos. So these are the the most used tools or softwares that people use for business intelligence, or let's say visualization, data analytics, and all these. So uh, Tableau is a data visualization tool that is usually used for business intelligence industry, and it helps to simplify raw data into understandable format. So then your Excel sheet will also be displayed as an Excel sheet here, but you can make changes to it. So if you want the date on a date format, and if you want, let's suppose you want to write something and it needs to be in a text format, so you just change the option into a text format. So these kinds of things are, it is easier for rather than doing it in an Excel and making it changes like that. This helps you and gives you the data set that you require to visualize them. So before coming up, let's move forward and see who developed this software. So the name software company called Tableau, with its headquarters in Seattle, Washington, USA, was the other company that introduced Tableau, and it was founded by uh, Pat Hendren, Chabot, and Chris Stoll in 2003, and it's been widely used by many companies from 2003 itself. So the great thing about Tableau is that it doesn't require any technical or programming skills to operate. It's just a drag and drop, and might require a bit of mixture of writing a small set of data for you to get a personalized or customized set of data set that you need to get visualized. So interactive dashboards can be created for users as per your requirements and customization preferences using Tableau, right? So then Tableau helps you connect and extract data stored in various places. As I said, you would be able to look into a few of those data sources that might be are your Excel, you can do it as a CSV file or an XLS file, or you can take the data source from your cloud servers, or you could take the data source from uh, spreadsheets and databases. So you're connecting your MySQL or your MongoDB or things like that. So these are a few places that you can get your data from, and how you could pull them into Tableau, connect them using Tableau, and make your visualized format. So the best feature of Tableau are it blends data, and then you can view the data in real-time analysis. So even if you make any changes to your database or your cloud or Excel sheets, those data will be on real-time displayed on your dashboards, right? And the most important part, that is the collaboration of data. So then another one person can view another person's data and share some inputs that might require for you to change those datas. And then in the same way, you can keep collaborating with other people to get to know about the data, right? So uh, yeah, moving forward, then a professional who creates solution to enhance business processes via data visualization is called a Tableau developer. So now here you can see there are 4 types of Tableau. That is, one is the Tableau desktop, second is the Tableau public, third is the Tableau online, and then there is Tableau server. Tableau Reader is basically used to see what and all you have done. So basically, all these five are really important. But to view all those four, for example, desktop, your public, your online, and your server, you use data reader to view them and to use collaborative measures to view for others to view into your system, right? So then what Tableau Desktop is what we are going to use, because it's a free software that and allows you to make changes to it and all those things. So it's a free software. So we would be using Tableau Desktop. So Tableau Public is basically a paid version of what Desktop offers, and it has more advantages, and there are more privileges that are there in Tableau Public rather than in Tableau Desktop. So then in the online version, you have a fewer number of options that are present than the Tableau Desktop or the public. And I would say that the Tableau Online uh, is an online tool basically. So you can view that on an online basis, or you want to share that using an online tool. So that's when you use a Tableau Online. And the Tableau server basically is like a cloud platform where you would be using this and you want to save your data. So that's where you start using your Tableau server. And Reader, as I have told you, is used for viewing all the tableaus and the dashboards that you have created. And when you have to share it, so after sharing it, you can only view using Tableau Reader, right? Okay. So then let's move forward with the salary of a Tableau developer. So in the US market range, it's between 99,000 to 1 lakh 58 K USD annually, right? That's a huge amount. And in an Indian market, you have somewhere between 8 lakhs to 12 lakhs rupees annually. So there's a huge scope, and also a very easy and very beautiful tool for you to visualize and use Tableau uh, in your futures, right? So then the expected skill set of a Tableau developers are that you must be good at designing, and you must be good at data visualization. And the first and foremost, you must understand what about data. So the data you're dealing with, how do you make the exploratory data analysis based on it? So what the data contains, how are the things that are going to affect you, or what are the things that you require while visualizing the data, and these kinds of things. And the second most, this one is how you want them to design. So what might be the color theme, what might be the theme of your project, or anything as such. So what are the things that you require? So these are the things that you are required for a skill set to become a Tableau developer, right? And second most thing is the mathematical reasoning. So this is where you put all your analytical skills, all your mathematical skills, how you love to present them, what are the options that are present, and these kinds of things. And third most important thing is your database skills. So you must know how do you connect to a database, what a database is, how well is your data and the database having in a real-time experience. So what are those things? And then last and foremost is ETL, exploratory data, this one, extract, transport, and load of your data. So ETL also helps you to understand your data basically. So how do you extract the data? How do you transform a data? How do you load a data? So these kinds of things are expected as a Tableau developer. So okay. So then the one note that we all see here is that one does not require to be a technical person to be a Tableau developer or consultant. So then you don't need to be a very professional person to understand this. So it's all about how much work you put in, how much hard work you put in on understanding the software, how you could easily make them on your use cases. So when given an example, how much do you practice on these given examples, and then take your own data set and use them, and how you would be creating them. So that's more important. So then once we get to know about the sessions, and once we get to know about how Tableau is used, it is mandatory for people to practice them and get better visualizations, and make a better design to it and all those things, right? Okay. So here is the data visualized format. So then here you can see how do you integrate different data sets. So that there can be websites, there can be your credit card details, so that might be in your CSV format. There might be some store details, so that might be in text format. You might have different data sets from your phone, your tablets, your PCs, your laptops, and all those into different data sets. So it can be using your spreadsheets, it can be using your cloud servers, so all these things. So all these things are combined together, and we introduce them to Tableau. So in Tableau, we sit and analyze what are the things that we require, what are the columns that are required. So you take the unwanted columns away from them, you take the columns that are really necessary and put them here. And then you can change those data types. And then what are the columns that you require, and how do you change them? So this is where you start analyzing your data, understanding your data basically. And this is where you start doing things that you require for your data, make changes to the data, and all those. After we are done with the second and the most important phase of analyzing the data, we move towards a visualization format. So visualization format is where you use your line graph, your histogram, your pie chart, your stacked line graph, and things like these. So then there can be a geographical graph based on what your data is. So if your data contains any geography or a place where it has, so then that's when you start using geographical data to show people. So it can be only within a particular region, or as well as for the world as whole. So based on what your data is and how you want to show them, it's that way that you want to visualize them and show them, right? So moving forward, with the world produces almost 2.5 trillion bytes of data every day. So that's a very huge number. For example, let's take our social medias. So these are also producing millions and billions of data per minute. So then with so much of data, it becomes increasingly difficult to manage and make sense of all of it. So even if we take a small amount of data with that, that's still a huge amount of data to just look it into raw facts and figures. So when we look into raw facts and figures, and when we see just the numbers, it's very difficult for people to understand such a data. That's when these visualization tools comes into action, and you get to know about them, and how when you show them in a very beautiful format, people get impressed. People are very keen to look into what the next data might be. So that's when you hook people up with your visualization and your creativity on how you want to visualize a certain set of data. So visualization helps you to understand data in a more better sense, and allows you to view and also look into a clearer sense, and gives a certain information a better understanding to it. So then it would be impossible for any single person to wade through data line by line and see the distinct pattern and make an observation, right? So then it's very difficult for a certain person to see only just numbers, and then from those numbers make collective information, and then visualize them. So it's very difficult. So that's when Tableau comes into play and helps you to visualize them. So it understands those data that you have given them, and then gives you a certain graph that you just want them to be produced, right? So data proliferation can be managed as part of data science process known as data visualization. And the data visualization technique is used for communicating insights from data through visual representation. So this is where you don't have to do much coding and understand coding in much of a deeper sense, but then this will help you to communicate what the raw facts and figures that we have on data into a more meaningful way. And then it will give you a more visualized representation on what you want to show the data as. Okay, then moving forward, it distills large data sets into visual graphics for easy understanding of complex relationships within data. And after data is collected, processed, and modeled, so some of the data might not have an easier relationship between them, but a third variable might be involving in the relationship between two of them. So then how do you combine all these into a single graphical visualization? So that's where Tableau helps you. So it helps you to find a certain pattern between the three columns that you have, and how do you process them, and how do you get visualize them. So this is where Tableau helps you, right? So then after data is collected and processed and also modeled, you will get a relationship between various input parameters. So if you take any such pattern within that and you get a relationship between that, it can be visualized. So that's what we need now. So based on the certain data sets that we have, and after a few more slides, we would be looking into how do you bring a data set or how do you import a data source from here, and then what are the tables that we have, how do you make changes to it, and things like these. So the relationship between various input parameters that needs to be visualized, so a conclusion can be made. So then we can create a dashboard and claim what we had want to prove based on the calculations or the relationship that we have brought together in a certain, let's say, data set, right? And this is why we use data visualization. So then uh, data lake, basically a cloud of data or a clubbing of data. So then there might be structured data into your cloud. There might be unstructured data that might be, or a JSON file or anything as such in your data cloud. Then there might be machine to machine. So while transferring, you might get logs, or let's suppose you might get confirmation mail and things like that. That also might be present in your cloud and your logs. So all these are clubbed together to make into a data lake. So this is where you start understanding what your data is, what are the data that are required for you, and what are the data that are not. And how do you remove certain data that are not required and input data that are required, right? So then let's move forward. And why do we need data visualization? So data visualization means drawing graphic display to show a data, or a visualized format of showing the raw facts and figures that we have, right? And then sometimes very important points is drawn as scatter plot. So scatter plot is basically will show you different scatters. So how is your data scattering, or what is the relationship between your data, how your data together is on a how your data is, what are the relationship between a certain cluster of data, and what is the relationship between another cluster of data. So sometimes statistical summaries can be shown as a histogram. So then you can show them using your histogram or your bar chart and show them what's the growth in a certain company, or growth in a certain product and things like that. Okay, so then the displays are mainly descriptive, and how you are concentrating on raw data and simple summaries, right? How would you be showing a certain small set of data and concentrating on that particular set of data rather than the whole summary, what your whole data set might be. So it's very difficult to understand a whole certain set of data. So then you just want to show a very gist of what you want to learn or what you have understood from the certain set. So then you can take those summaries and then concentrate on raw data and mainly focus on the descriptive way, and then visualize them and explain what you are trying to convey. Right. And then they can include displaying of transformed data, sometimes based on complicated transformations. So if there are complicated relationships between a certain set of data, so then that's when you start to transform the data, and you show them that these are the things that needs to be changed on data that might help you and result you to a better visualized format. So when there is a complex transformation and all those, these transformations are done using Tableau. So this is one of the main advantages of using Tableau, and why you need data visualized format. Okay. Then moving forward, visualization is used for data cleaning, exploring a data structure, detecting outliers and unusual groups, identifying trends and clusters, spotting local patterns, evaluating model outputs, and presenting results. So let's go one by one. So data cleaning is basically how you would be looking into raw facts and figures, and then how you want some of those unclean data or the data that are not required for the present time to be removed. So that's where you start with data cleaning. And there are other processes where you can use data cleaning if and only if you are more interested in Python, with Python and how those things can be used. So in this, the data cleaning is basically like you put a data source and you change those data sources, and then you'd be exploring the data structures. So what type and what kind of structure a certain data is. So if it's in a date format, you want the data type also to be in a date format. You don't want them to be in a text format, because when you write a certain date, if it comes as a text format, when you will be displayed, it will also be displayed as a text format. So you want to know what structure it is, what type it is. So that's where you start exploring what data structures are. So detecting outliers is basically, there might be some data that might go beyond what you require. For example, your age. So age, let's suppose, can't be in a negative number, right? And then there can be age cannot increase more than, let's suppose, 100. So if a person suddenly inputs 140, so that's when it starts detecting outliers. That's where you use scatter plot. You show them this is a group of people that has a much cleaner data, and this is somewhere that you'll understand that there might not be a set of cleaning, a better data. So there might be values that might go in negative, which might not require for your present time, or might not require at all. So that's when you start detecting outliers, and then you're removing those outliers. So then, and unusual groups. So basically detecting outliers and unusual groups. So there might be a certain cluster of data that you might not require. uh, so there might be your major focus. So let's take an app that we are building, and let's suppose it's for age group between 18 to 35. Okay, so then you don't want people above 35 or above 40, for example, right? So then you exclude those groups. So those outliers or clusters that you have, you exclude them and use only those data that are for 18 to 40 years or 18 to 35 age group, right? And then we are identifying the different trends and clusters. So this is where you start using different visualized tools like scatterplot, histogram, bar graph, or pie plot, things like these. Then you understand what is the pattern between these things that you are looking into. So given a certain set of data, what are the things that you're looking into? What are the different patterns? So given, let's suppose 0.1, 0.21, 0.23, 0.24, so they come under one cluster. So then you are understanding that, okay, this is one such cluster, and then this is another cluster. So something like that. And then you would be evaluating modeling outputs, basically. So then after you understand the data, visualize the data, you would be showing what outputs that you might receive. So what are the things that you need to show? And then you interpret the results, basically. So then you show them that this is what we had to conclude based on the visualization formats that I have presently shown. So that is where you bring out your conclusion, your results, your understanding based on what you have understood about a given set of data. So now let's look at the benefits of data visualization. Then what is the benefits of data visualization? So let's understand is that the first and foremost is a correlations in relationships. So without data visualization, it is challenging to identify the correlation between two variables, such as a dependent variable or an independent variable. So then what are the things that you need to do? So then how do you find a relationship between two certain set of data? So one might be related to another, one might be not related to another. So how would you make those relationships, and how would you correlate those things that are required and not required? So that this will be a challenge for you. So Tableau helps you to identify those relationships and make a correlation between these relationships that you have. And this will be useful for better understanding and for better business decisions that you have, right? And then let's move and look forward. What are the trends over time that you can see? So while we all know that we might be using data visualization, and it's one of the key most valuable applications that we have, it is impossible to make predictions without having necessary information from the present as well as from the past, right? So then the trends over time tells us where we were and where we are and where we can potentially go. So this basically shows us that we might require your past data as well as what your present might be. So we are not moving towards what the future is, because we are showing that how your present and your past might relate to your future. So you are always showing them that how these informations are present. So then your past data and your present data is what we will be visualization, and showing them what are the improvements that you might need to make good changes for the future. Right? Okay. So to understand this, I would first also like to take an example. So let's consider a sales data set, for example. So if you are presented with a spreadsheet containing thousands of rows and columns of sales data, it would be challenging to identify the different trends, the different patterns or outliers at a glance. So Tableau, you can create visualized appealing charts, graphs, and dashboards that would provide a better picture or a clearer picture for the sales performance that you have. Okay. For instance, by visualization of sales data on a line chart, basically. So you can observe the sales trends over time. How would it be identifying the seasonal patterns and assessing the total overall growth or decline, right? So then by adding additional dimensions such as product categories or regions, you can uncover different insights on top selling products or the underperforming product, and which region are they underperforming, or which place is it underperforming. And it might also enable you to make informed decisions and to optimize sales strategies, right? So the benefit of Tableau is to go beyond understanding your data yourself, and then visualization helps enables effective communication to data to others. So suppose you need to present your sales performance to stakeholders or clients. So instead of overwhelming them with spreadsheets and numbers, and you can create them a visualized engaging dashboards in Tableau. So these dashboards allow stakeholders to explore your data interactively, filter specific regions or the certain time periods that you have, or gain comprehensive understanding of the sales performance that you want. Right. So then we move forward with what is the frequency. So the frequency is it's closely related to the trends over time is frequency basically. So based on your past data or your present data, so how is the past data affecting your present data, and how will your present data be affecting your future? So these are the things that you would be looking. So that trend over time is basically what you call as a frequency. So by examining the rate or how often customers purchase, and when you buy a certain item or a good or a product, and when they buy, it would give us a better feel on how potentially new customers might act and react to different marketing and customer acquisition strategies basically. So this is where know as a term called as market basket analysis. So so it's basically an association between two items. So for example, let's suppose we go to a supermarket. So then we tend to buy bread and milk together. So then if a certain supermarket keeps bread and milk together, the sales might increase more. So then you understand these certain things that you require. So or suppose you want to buy eggs or bread and eggs, for example, right? So then if you keep them together and closely together, people might tend to buy both of them because they might require them both together, right? So then let's go with biscuits and bakery items together. So things like that. So you find an association between the two data sets that you have, and then provide a certain, you find those frequency between those two data sets. And that's where it will benefit you for visualization. Okay. Then the next point is examining the market, basically. So that takes the information from different markets and gives you insights into which audience your main focus is, or what you, which, whose attention that you are creating, to which audience is who you're focusing on, what is your attention, and which ones you have to stay away from, what are the necessary things that you need and what are the necessary things that you don't need. So you'll get a clearer picture of the opportunities within those markets, and you will be able to display this data in a more visualized and in a more insightful manner using charts and graphs and things like that, right? And the next benefit is your risk and reward, basically. So looking at the value and risk metrics, it requires expertise, because without data visualization, you cannot interpret complicated data. So there might be complicated data that we might have in a data set with spreadsheets and numbers and things like that. So to interpret them, we might also have to look into what is the risk that might occur, or what might be the risk metric that might have involved in a certain product that we are creating. So once we understand that information, and once we get to know what the information is and how do we visualize it, we pinpoint the areas that might require certain decisions that needs to be taken. So there might be some products that might be moving on a loss. So by visualized format, we can show them that this has been moving down very quiet now. So then what are the steps that you might require to make those actions or those products come into play and bring on the people's or the audience's or attraction towards them. So then the last point might be reacting to the market. So the ability to obtain information quickly and easily, and to show how do you display your data clearer and in a more functional dashboards. So your dashboard might contain many different visualization, many different graphs, many different charts and things like that. So then how do you clearly make a functional dashboard to it, and how do you allow businesses to act and respond to finding swiftly, and helps you to avoid making any major mistakes that might occur, right?